Hey guys, welcome back to Boost Hunter Garage. Today we're going to be on the white whale here. Earlier this week, I ended up smoking the transmission in this thing. The wife and I were just cruising into town to run to Home Depot, come off the highway, and all of a sudden I could tell it was kind of revving higher than it should be. Then it felt like it was grabbing, so I was like thinking I was just making it up in my head. We drove a little bit farther, and when I went to go take off from a light, you could tell it was not there at all. We moved a little bit, luckily got in a parking lot, hopped out, made sure there wasn't like a cooler line popped off, made sure there was enough fluid. So I wasn't sure what was going on with it, but did not want to drive. So we had to get a tow truck to come get us and tow us back home here. So thank you to the tow truck driver. He was awesome. Got it done quick and got us home. And yeah, so as soon as I got home here, I dropped the pan. So I have some footage of that to show that. We'll throw that in here somewhere. And luckily my dad had stopped by then. So he helped me out and we got it pulled out of there. So I didn't really film any of that. We just kind of got to work and got it out. So I wasn't too sure what was wrong with it because when we dropped the pan, it didn't seem like there was a crazy amount of debris in it. I thought if it would have smoked a clutch pack or something, there would have been a bunch of debris in the pan. So you'll see that, but so there wasn't tons. So I was thinking it had to be maybe the converter or the pump that went in it. So anyways, I got taken in. My dad dropped it off for me, luckily the next day while I was at work, to a guy that we've known for a long time. Anyways, he was swamped, but luckily he was able to get to it and actually got it done this week, thinking it was going to take another week or so until he could get to it. And so I picked it up yesterday, and the overall result was we smoked the second gear band, and the third gear clutch pack went in it. And I guess what he determined happened, then it sucked it all up in the filter and fully plugged the filter. So that's why it couldn't build any pressure. So we got it right here. He went through it, refreshed it, and they had to cut open the converter. And while we're at it, I got him to do a shift kit in it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not super happy. I did want a billet input put in it, and that didn't happen. Kind of rushed through it, but at least we got it back here. I can get it in. That's something we can do down the road, I guess. So hopefully this thing will drive a lot better, because as I got looking, this is a Jasper reman transmission. And when I got looking around the internet, no one really has anything good to say about them. They're kind of just pump them out. So I kind of think from the beginning, I don't know if this transmission was set up the greatest to begin with. Like when I opened it up, the second gear band, like a ply lever, had a huge gap in it, but also it was smoked. So I'm hoping at least with even that too, this should drive a lot better, because I felt like it wasn't driving good to begin with. The shift kit should help it tons. So first of all here, we're just gonna go out, I'm gonna flush these lines out. So I'm just gonna take the air compressor and just try blow air through it and try push it all the way through the cooler and the lines. If I have to, I'll probably dump a little bit extra transmission fluid in there and try push that through so we can make sure we get all the debris out, since we did smoke that band and the clutch in it. So we'll get under there and try get this flushed out, and we'll get this transmission back in there. All right, so now that we got those flushed out, we'll move on to getting this transmission ready. One thing I want to note, I definitely didn't have that set up right, and I just about made a huge mess. Somehow didn't cover myself in transmission fluid, and also trying to dump a little extra fluid in there didn't work as good as I thought it would work, but we got it flushed out. I got it kind of, they're dripping out a little bit here, but I think I at least got most of that fluid out of there. And now all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pop this converter off here. We're gonna dump a quart of fluid in it, and I'll get her put back on there. I'll probably put this back on while I move it since I'm doing this by myself. Don't want to be dropping that. And then one thing I'm also just make sure that where you bolt up, I'll get it, make sure it's lined up at least good, so I'm not trying to fight with it once they got it up on there, trying to get it bolted to the flex plate, which basically the way from where I had it set up, this should be lined up good, but I'll double check, get that lined up so that when we go to bolt it on later, since it's tough to see, that's good. But yeah, we'll get this filled up and get it fought under the truck. Obviously it's a little tough when you're doing it just on the driveway like this, not on the lift. Obviously it'd be a lot easier. I am gonna put just the transmission in. I did take it out with the transfer case bolted to it. And normally I do it that way, but it's just a little tough by myself, so I'm gonna get this in there just because the transfer case, with it hanging off the back, it wants to roll it over and stuff, so I'll get this up in there first and bolt it on, then we'll get the transfer case on. Alright guys, so it's actually the next day here. I got everything in there. It was a bit of a fight, as you could see in the video, to get the transfer case in. Did not want to stay on the jack. It kept tipping, so I eventually just got pissed off and ended up just setting it right on my chest and lifting up into place. You couldn't fully see in the video, but I definitely gave myself a huge ATF bath, so I was just covered, my whole back. The creeper that I was on was just covered in it, so at that point I just was a little pissed off and just slammed everything else in, got the drive shaft, everything buttoned up, all the wiring hooked up and that kind of stuff. So obviously it was a little tough getting the transfer case in that way, so that part was difficult, but it was nice not having it on the transmission when we put it up in there. So, and I let me get at the bell housing bolts a little better. So we got all that in. As you've seen earlier, I dumped one of these into the converter. Now I'm going to dump, I believe I'm going to do about 14 of them down in here. Then we'll start the truck up. I'll probably move it down on the street where it's level, but just allows it to pump a bit of the fluid through. We can check it. We are going to need more. So I am using this AMSOIL transmission fluid. I actually talked to a guy just at work that has a similar truck, not tuned up quite as much, but he said he used the AMSOIL fluid and he said it did help. Actually, he found his transmission ran a lot better. So we're just going to go ahead. I don't really got the best funnel for this, so we're just going to dump these in there, and then we'll check the levels after we move it here. All right, guys, so we finally got her all topped up. I just took it for a spin. When I just finished that last bit, when we first filled up before we moved, all of a sudden we had a moment of panic / frustration. All of a sudden I looked under the truck and there was fluid pouring out from the inspection plate, like right below the converter. There was definitely some non-PG-13 words being said at that moment, and I did not know what was going on. And then I was gonna fire it up still, move it onto the street. Of course, my batteries decided to go dead, so had to let it charge. We got it fired up here, put it out on the street, kind of moved it back and forth, checked for leaks. It wasn't leaking then. So I continued to fill it up the rest of the way and checking it as, you know, leaving the truck running in neutral, checked it, we got it full, and there is no more leaks. And like I said, I just took it for a spin. It seems fine. Obviously, I wanted to bag on it, see how the shift kit worked, but I didn't want to do that right now, so we'll have to do another video doing kind of a drive test with it. But for now, it seems like it's good. I'm not sure if it was just like, you know, I had slightly overfilled it with the truck sitting forward, and that caused the leak, which, I mean, it shouldn't, but maybe the converter had to spin in that seal and kind of get itself settled in there. So for now, I think we're good. I'm glad it's working. I was pretty pissed off for a bit. But yeah, we'll do another driving video on this. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.